Weirdness.
Buenos días.
I'll never forget how everything started. Wait a minute, that sounded way too dramatic. So, one of my best friends told me that I must play that game because it's just amazing and explores topics that usually interest me. So, I've bought it on my Switch, booted it up, and I saw this.
Alex? Hey, still with us? You haven't said anything for like 10 minutes.
The game introduced me to the main mechanics, ranging from picking what to say in different conversations and controlling an old radio.
There's the little guy.
Yeah, it was not much innovative. There was a conversation explaining the backstory of the game, which I will not get into details about because I just don't want to spoil anything for you. So I ended up on the island. There were a bit more conversations showing more and more backstory.
What's your worst fear?
That Santa Claus is really coming to town.
Seriously?
I started thinking that, probably this will be some random game about teens and their stupid problems. Maybe something like a mix between an adventure game and a visual novel. And just when I was sure that this game is definitely not for me and I was about to quit playing it, this happened.
God, it sounds so...
And then this.
Jonas?
Hello? Here. Ditto. Everyone in.
Hi?
And I was like, wait a minute, what? But hey, how I ended up here? Everything started pretty normally. The game introduced perfectly normal characters who perform just ordinary activities. But the world where they live seemed a bit weird after the events I've just experienced. And that really intrigued me. Well, this is a perfect example of the triangle of weirdness. But what exactly is the triangle of weirdness and how to use it to make your work more fascinating? This is Game Designer's Notebook, a video channel exploring game design topics and helping you with making better games. And without further ado, let's get into the weirdness. I found this concept in a book called Level Up, the Guide to Great Video Game Design. The author, Scott Rogers, describes this concept as something that serves to bring balance in the creative process of game development. It is represented as a triangle with three elements: world, characters, and activities. Choose only one of the corners. If you choose more than one, you risk alienating your audience, he says. But what I found a little odd is that he doesn't give any examples from the video game industry, and instead he gives a couple of movie examples. So I need to give some proper examples in this video with actual games because I'm talking about game design and this channel is for game design, and it's a bit weird to talk about movies. At first glance, The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild doesn't seem weird at all. I remember the first time I've played that game. It was just pure adventure. I felt like a little adventurer exploring huge uncharted territories, and well, actually that is exactly what the game is all about. After exiting the cave that Link was sleeping in for about 100 years, I've just watched the beautiful landscape in front of me, and I didn't have any idea what crazy motherfucking things will creep on me and chase me and one-shot me, and the stupid weather system that just makes it rain every single fucking time when you start climbing a stupid mountain and makes you fall again and again and again and again. And I love the 100 hours I've just spent in this amazing game. So yeah, the gameplay is pretty normal. That is definitely not the weird thing about the game. Also, the character is just a generic kid who is f***ing around with dudes way too stronger than him, which is pretty normal also. But the world... oh boy, the world. I've already mentioned the dudes that are just one-shotting you all the time around every single fucking corner in the game. We have creepy tech spiders that blast you with laser cannons. We have huge centaur-like dudes that... I don't even know how to describe them. When you see them, it's just try not to rage quit challenge. Also, there are some sleeping giants that at the moment you accidentally throw a stick into their butt, they just get up and go insane. Also, there are a couple of other random enemy dudes that just are one-shotting you all around Hyrule. I hope you get the point. It's just a world filled with weird creatures and places. And oh yeah, the places. There is a winter place where you just freeze to death. There is a land full of lava, a desert that is filled with female-only extreme feminist characters, fairy fountains containing, well, fairies? What? Fucking giant fairies who look like giant MILFs who want to rape you? And a beautiful field that is full of semi-destroyed guardians that, again, they could not move but they somehow can still fucking shoot at you. So yeah, this is my example of a game with a weird world. I just love that game. Next up is Grand Theft Auto 5. That amazing game that still somehow managed to sell despite being on the market for almost 10 years? Wow. Anyway, why I've picked this game, you may ask? Well, yes, the world is not that weird this time. We have a pretty realistic world based on Los Angeles, I believe. Also, the characters are pretty realistic dudes. I mean, a former bank robbers just living their lives. It seems pretty normal, right? But the activities in this game are just insane. Every single time I start playing GTA 5, I just steal a random car, I go crashing into everything I see. It's so fun. I love to kill random pedestrians, just driving through them, then the police start chasing you and you feel so cool, and then helicopters start chasing you and you don't feel that cool anymore and start to panic. How the f you're supposed to escape from a helicopter that can fly everywhere and you're just down there trying to escape and not crash into a random building and kill yourself? Then accidentally you enter a military base and drive through some military dudes, and holy sh**, tanks are chasing me now. But then you steal a jet fighter and everything is just fine. What an amazing game with so many cool and a bit weird possibilities. And my final example was a bit harder to find because I actually never noticed that, but it seems that there are not a lot of highly successful games with weird main characters. I don't know, maybe not a lot of people want to see themselves like some random weirdos. I was researching a lot, trying to find a game like that, and just when I was about to quit, I realized something. Fighting games. Oh my god. Basically every single successful fighting game is full of weird characters. It almost seems like if there are no weird characters, the game will not be interesting enough. And that is actually true because of the nature of fighting games. In these games, most of the actions doesn't come from a story or levels and etc, but from fighting with different characters, and that fighting could become very easily boring if the characters are not that interesting enough for the player. That's why my final example of the triangle of weirdness is Street Fighter V. You could argue that the world is the weird part here, because there are a lot of weird characters in it, and I would agree actually if you are a random dude fighting with all of these weirdos, but here that's not the case. In Street Fighter, you are the weird dude. In fact, you are any one of them, and the fact that you can choose to play with them makes that the game has weird characters and not a weird world. What are these weird dudes, you may ask, and how are they weird? Well, look at this guy called Blanca as an example. You definitely don't want to be around that dude. I mean, he is green, has crazy hair, and can hit you with electricity. And of course, we have Akuma, who is basically the devil. Bright red hair, sharp teeth, purple eyes, and the cool ability to tear your soul with his bare hands. These guys are so cool, man. Of course, we have a couple of weird, overly sexualized anime-style characters like Chun-Li, Armika, and Poison, who, for some reason, some random dudes online believe she's a trans. What? And yeah, the characters are weird, for sure. The actions, on the other hand, are not that weird. I mean, you just fight and that's it. From time to time you're throwing random fireballs or other stuff, but most of the time it's just a standard fighting game and two random dudes are just kicking each other's butts. And that's it. We saw what happens when you choose only one of the corners of the triangle when making a game. You end up creating interesting enough games to intrigue the players, but not that quirky enough to make them confused. But what happens when you choose more than one angle? Well, you don't need to try it out yourself, because a lot of people throughout the years have done that unintentionally. But did they find success? The first violating triangle combo is having weird characters doing weird things. I have so many examples in my head. Let's start with a game where you are an octopus who pretends to be a father and an average person trying to do daily activities, but it's kinda hard because, well, he's still a f***ing octopus. Yeah, I'm talking about the game Octodad, the Dadliest catch. I have that game on my Switch, but I've never actually played it yet. Well, just like about 60% of my games, but never mind. But I've still watched some gameplay of that pure randomness, and man, that game is truly unique. With its weird physics-based mechanics and the weird octopus character, we have one hell of a weird game out there. But hey, the game has mostly positive reviews on Steam, so the breaking of the triangle is not a guarantee of fail, just a guarantee of turning off most of the people, which, well, could lead to a massive failure. Another game of this type I have in mind is a game called I Am Bread, which is the same game basically, but you are a slice of bread, and that's it. You need to survive and just exist as a slice of bread. Sounds so exciting, isn't it? The next game is, I think, kinda big in Japan, but that's the place where you see people doing all kinds of bizarre stuff on TV, so you should not be that surprised. The game is called Katamari Damacy. You are playing as the Prince of the Galaxy who needs to form planets from random objects. You do that by rolling a sticky ball into all kinds of stuff, making it bigger and bigger. Why do you do that? Well, because your father, the king of space, has destroyed all of the planets for some reason. The only normal thing here is the world, which again is based on the real world. This game shows us that even a highly bizarre game could become popular and successful, well, at least in Japan. Oh, wait, another game popped up in my head. Replace the octopus from the first game with a goat and boom, you have Goat Simulator. This game at least doesn't take itself seriously at all. I mean, even the developers themselves say on the game's page that this game is small, broken and stupid and was developed as a joke for a couple of weeks. Also, they advise you that it's a better idea to buy a real life goat instead of that game. However, this game somehow managed to become super popular and even got updates and DLCs adding different modes like MMO, zombie survival and even bank robbing mode with goats? Seriously? This is another example that a purely weird and random game could become a huge success if it's well balanced and resonate enough with the audience. Next, we have normal characters doing weird actions in a weird world. If you don't have enough problems with your romantic relationship, the next game is perfect for you. You play as a guy who has a girlfriend and then he sees another girl and you can imagine what comes next. The game is like a dating simulator where you talk with different characters. On top of that, you start having nightmares. They include weird sheep and you climbing a tower of strange cubes. And it's getting more and more random. I will not spoil the story because, man, this game has such plot twists, it's just insane, you know. So we have weird actions such as the bizarre nightmare tower climbing in a world where demons and other crazy creatures exist. The normal thing here is the character. A generic dude who just cheated on his girlfriend. And that's it. At least you've learned that cheating on your girlfriend could lead to crazy demons and sheeps chasing you in your dreams. So don't do that, okay? Well, I think the next game doesn't require any explanations. The title says it all. LSD Dream Emulator. Yeah, the game is just that. Pure randomness. You experience just bizarre scenes. The only ordinary thing here is again the main character, which is potentially you, because the game is played in first-person mode. And actually, if you play that game, I can't be sure how normal you are. The next game is a pure parody called No More Heroes. In the third installment, we get a world filled with intergalactic shit coming to destroy everything. The group is led by the galactic prince Fu, whose name definitely doesn't stand for f*** you. And you are, of course, Travis Touchdown, a professional assassin who must stop the intergalactic invasion. The dude himself is totally legit, nothing strange at all, but the world with these intergalactic bastards and all of the events happening is a little too much for many. Also, the actions are a bit weird. You basically need to take down all the bad guys, but between the fights, you need to make some cash to proceed through the game. So you take on some side hustles and mow some lawns here and there? In a hack and slash game? Seriously? That's like Dante doing random chores in between missions in Devil May Cry. That would be so f***ed up. Well, at least the game is very popular and successful, showing us that even crazy weird games could be successful. And again, it is a Japanese game. Okay, next one. Are you feeling lonely? I know exactly what you need. Hey, how are you doing?
Creepy.
What?
You may not think I'm attractive, but your wife will. Grrr.
What? This is the Seaman. No, not Seaman. A Seaman. But I'm pretty sure it was once in the form of semen. So yeah, this one is a talking fish buddy simulator. You basically interact and raise a weird humanoid fish that talks. There is even a backstory telling about a French biologist who discovered a fish considered as almighty messenger of the gods in Egypt in the 1930s. After years, the fish somehow managed to appear in aquariums in Japan. And that's it. Now you're the owner of one of these creatures, and you should definitely not be proud of this fact. Again, the only normal thing is the main character, which seems to be you again. Now let's talk about weird heroes in a weird world doing pretty normal stuff. The first example is Zombie Nation for the NES, released in the 1990s. I can bet you've never heard of that game. Just by looking at the gameplay footage, you can see why this game appears here. I mean, a giant flying head shooting weird projectiles, and a world where aliens invade Earth and turn people into zombies. Sounds fun, right? The only normal thing here is the gameplay, which incorporates mechanics from a simple shoot-'em-up game. It seems the shoot-'em-up genre is pretty f***ed up. Cho Aniki. Just by hearing the name, you can imagine the pure Japanese randomness. Oh man, I just can't. Just look at the gameplay, okay? I mean, I don't even know what to say. Well, I will let you for a couple of seconds to guess what is wrong with this shit, okay? I bet you can't wait to play that game after seeing this. The next one is at least not that extremely weird, but still, why the heck there is a monkey locked in a ball that rolls on weird floating levels? Am I torturing the monkey while I play this game? It seems we will never know. And the final one is a bit controversial. Grim Fandango, now known as one of the best adventure games of all time, was not that successful back then. I mean, it was so unsuccessful that the studio LucasArts decided to stop making adventure games after the game launch, and this game basically demised the entire adventure genre. I guess people back in 1998 were not that into being Grim Reapers and solving weird puzzles. The game is set in a place called the Land of the Dead, a place where people come after they die, and you're Manny Calavera, a travel agent helping souls arrive at the Land of Eternal Rest, which represents heaven. The character is a weird skeleton-looking Grim Reaper, and the world is basically the Land of the Dead. So yeah, the only normal thing here is the adventure game mechanics, which incorporate finding items and using them to solve puzzles. Now let's talk about the weirdest of them all, the games with all the three elements in them. The first one is Muscle Man March. It's bizarre. Just look at this game. Weird bodybuilder characters chasing weird rabbit-like creatures that steal the fitness supplements of the bodybuilders. The result is a game where you control the running bodybuilders going through walls with different shapes. With the help of the motion controls of the Nintendo Wii, you actually need to take the form of the incoming walls. And you can also play as a polar bear for some reason. The next one is a huge hit regardless of the weirdness hiding around every corner in the game. The hack and slash series Bayonetta possess every nook and cranny of the triangle of weirdness. Let's start with the character. But what is so weird about her besides the pistols on her boots, you may ask? Well, first of all, she uses her hair for battle. Well, that's cool, I guess. But also her hair is her entire outfit for some reason. And you can guess what happens when she uses her hair to summon demons. The hair goes from one place to another, and she basically becomes naked. Well, for horny people that's cool. For me, that's a little inappropriate, but hey, at least it's unique. The world is filled with angels and demons fighting you for some reason. I mean, I always thought that angels are good guys, and the gameplay is basically filled with extreme hack and slash mechanics. You can slow down time, shoot pistols from your boots, kick some demon butts, and from time to time you even summon giant monsters to fight for you. It's truly unique and a bit weird game, but I still love it.
Hello guys, and welcome in this video where I'm going to play one game called Oxenfree. In this game you just spend a night on an island with a couple of friends. So the goal of the game is to just learn more about the characters, but it feels like I've been here before, and it's so fun guys, I can't wait to play that game. And yeah, this was the whole game. We just spent a night there and that's it.
What would happen if the first game didn't have that special weird moment? What if the game was just about random teens that go to the beach, party all night, and that's it? Well, that would be so boring. First of all, I think that the triangle of weirdness directly is tied to the internal desire for people to experience extraordinary events. I mean, if we are going to play something, at least we don't want to feel like it's the real world. We want to be someone else, do something else, something impossible, like killing dragons or living on an island with animal friends. That's where the triangle of weirdness comes. When we decide what our game is all about, we need to make sure that there is something new and exciting, but still not that weird enough to alienate the audience. For example, if we want to have a weird world filled with weird creatures and extraordinary events, then we should definitely have normal, relatable characters, and the actions we take should be believable. And that doesn't mean the game should have ordinary, everyday life-based mechanics. Something that fits well into the setting and the world of the game will be good enough. There should be balance. With the right usage of the triangle of weirdness, you can evoke innovation, you can fire up the curiosity in the player, and you can surprise them all the time. But if you put more weirdness into the mix or do not balance it well enough, then people will just feel confused, alienated, or simply stupid for not being able to understand what the game is all about. So, the conclusion, just pick an element that feels bland in your idea and make it extraordinary, without overdoing it. Thank you so much for staying up until the end. That means so much for me. If you've enjoyed the video, you can subscribe to the channel to not miss out on any new videos. Also, if you have something in mind, feel free to write it down in the comments. I would love to see your thoughts on this subject. This was Game Designer's Notebook, and I hope to see you in the next video.